Last year, the South African economy struggled, but at least it grew, a little, but not anymore. Now it's in recession for the first time in 8 years. A number of factors are to blame. Political uncertainty has repeatedly slowed the progress of any economic reforms. In March, President Jacob Zuma fired his finance minister, Pravin Gordhan. In no time, the nation lost its investment-grade status with 2 ratings agencies. It's the first time that has happened in almost 20 years. There's also been a drought. It rained this year, which helped, but the agriculture sector still has a long way to go. The drought in 2015 was the worst since records began, more than a century ago. Trade was down across the board in the latest quarter. Lower production levels in 7 out of 10 of the country's manufacturing divisions also had a negative impact on economic growth, which slowed to just 0.3% last year. All industries except agriculture and mining contracted in this quarter, the South African Statistics Office says. The finance, real estate and business services industry shrank by 1.2%, and unemployment rose to a 14-year high. 6.2 million people, that's 27% of the population, don't have work. With the value of the rand dropping, some economists have said there's every chance the second quarter won't be any better. Kerry Alexandra, TRT World.
Well, Thanti Mthanti is a senior lecturer at Wits Business School. He joins us now from the financial capital of South Africa, Johannesburg. Mr. Mthanti, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Money Talks. I can see it's clearly night-time behind you there. So thanks so much for staying up for us. Let me ask you about the South African economy. What, in your opinion, is the greatest challenge facing the economy?
Well, currently, what we're seeing, or what we've largely seen, is the government cutting back on expenditure, naturally because the credit ratings have been cut. But also what we're partially seeing is the banking sector reducing the credit to the private sector. So both the banks and government are retrenching, and it's not surprising the economy is shrinking. The government has to retrench, particularly because of the credit rating situation. I think if they can get the banks to pump a bit more credit into the economy should be reasonably fine. And
the particular event that hit the credit score, the credit rating, one of the agencies was rather dismayed by the sacking of Pravin Gordhan, the internationally respected finance minister. He was seen, was he not, as a bulwark against the rampant corruption.
Well, we don't know whether there's as much corruption as it is claimed, but the credit ratings agencies showed quite a bit of concern around that. My sense is the institutional issues are very important in South Africa, but we've got a very strong institutional base. We've got a very strong constitution, strong oversight mechanisms, relatively independent courts, a very independent media. So I don't think our institutions are merely based on one individual per se.
And yet the credit rating did drop soon after he was fired. Let me ask you about the institutions. Are the institutions gearing up and queuing up against Jacob Zuma?
My sense is institutions have to be effective, not against an individual. You just need proper oversight mechanisms. I think partially you're seeing a rebellion in the ANC against Jacob Zuma. That's partially an accountability mechanism. Like we've seen the courts rule against him. That's partially an accountability mechanism. You've seen some of the opposition parties winning major cities like Johannesburg and Cape Town. That's partially an accountability mechanism. That's why I'm saying South Africa is a reasonably strong constitution, and it is working. And strong institutions are meant to survive a bad president. And if he is a bad president, they're showing that in a way, to a degree, they're effective. So I wouldn't pin down South Africa's institutions to one individual.
Agriculture and mining bucked the trend. There is, of course, a recession now, but agriculture and mining seem to be doing okay. Why are these two sectors quite robust at the moment?
I think with mining, with commodities, we've seen a bit of an uptick in commodity prices over the last 2 years. So I think there's a bit of an improvement there. Agriculture, we had the drought ending in South Africa last year. You're seeing very good production from the agricultural sector. But oddly, both of those sectors that are in positive territory have probably been the main drivers of South Africa's economic weakening.
Thanti Mthanti, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your analysis there in Johannesburg.